Welcome, everybody. This is Gerald Fears with Fearless Conversations. So excited to be with you. I got my amazing friend Maggie, the substitute teacher. She's going to talk about everything feminine, everything family, everything marriage. We're going to dive deep. We're going to go quick. So make sure you grab a pen, sheet of paper, and prepare for an amazing ride. I'll see you guys on the other side.
All right. How are you, Gerald?
Amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I just got a few questions that, a lot of people are talking about. People want to know, and I thought no better person to talk about these topics than you. So, want to dive right in. Why why is marriage, you think, one of these elusive conversations right now? It's something that people are talking about. It's almost one of those hot topics again, marriage, family, and kind of everything and above. Why do you think maybe people are circling the wagon again and saying maybe this marriage thing maybe is worth looking at?
So, is the question why is it a topic that others are afraid to talk about, or why people are talking about it?
Why both? Both. Both. Yeah.
Okay, so let me take a stab at this. I think we talk about marriage because it's natural. I think that we were created to live life as families, which means we live as a community, which means we live as a society. And I think that's part of the reason why things are all over the place now, because people are trying to make something that's not normal normal. It is absolutely normal to want to couple up, to want to have a family of your own, to leave, part of your legacy behind. So that would be my answer as to why we are talking about marriage. I think the reason why it's gotten so contentious, unfortunately, is people have a misconception as to what marriage actually is. And there are all these almost like boogeyman stories, and genuinely, people have had bad experiences. I mean, I myself, I'm a divorcee. It doesn't have to be ugly, but it can be hurtful. But I remember listening to Psych Hacks, Dr. Orion Taraban, and he said, marriage is really a humble institution. When you think about what it is to be a wife, to be a husband, to actually sacrifice for the family, it's not all the glitz and glamour that people think that it is. And so there's almost this, well, if I can't have it my way, I don't want it at all. And I think that's part of the reason why we're in the issue. We're in the problem that we have.
I think you're right. I think there's a level of selfishness that is hyper evolved in people's thought process. And with marriage, family, kids, there's a level of, and I think you could speak to this, selflessness that is required. There's a level of, maybe I don't come first in every situation. And so many people have put themselves on this pedestal of grandiose and I'm this and I'm that. And it's like, well, are you humble enough to take a back seat for someone else, even for a person to be in your life? Is there room enough in your life? People say they want kids, they want marriage, but are you creating the space for a husband, for a wife, for kids? Are you creating that? And yeah.
So, to answer your question, I mean, yes, when you sign up to be responsible to another person, whether that's as a husband protecting or providing, or as a wife being a support system to be nurturing, to create a warm and welcoming home and kind of keep the home fires burning. Some of us love it. Some of us look forward to leaving that impact on others, leaving people better than we found them. I think because of the modern world, all the conveniences that we have, and I'm, never trying to take us back, but overall, the culture has become what's in it for me. What about me? And there's a part of that that is natural. Of course, you want to take care of me and mine, but I think we have overcorrected on that. And now it's like, I'm out for self. I'm out for me. You hear women say, if it doesn't serve me, if he's not doing this, I always say as an older woman, I don't feel like I have a place to speak to men, but you hear it on both sides. So If you don't have it in your heart to consider somebody ahead of yourself, you're not a good candidate for marriage. And it doesn't make you a bad person, but it doesn't make you marriage worthy.
Wow. No, I can't disagree with anything you just said. I was thinking about what you just said, and so many people um, are not preparing themselves for what they say they want. Like what you just said was so profound. And I think people are finding themselves in that space of like, okay, what do I do next? Am I really preparing for that? And I want you to speak to the fact of what do you think could help women and men feel more comfortable moving into that space?
So that's kind of a loaded question. And, humbly, I always say the older women should teach the women, the older men should teach the men. I am a boy mom. Um, so I'll tell you what we tell our sons. But as women, and this is something that Lucy and I put in our relationship basics class. And, I'll make it available one of these days. But, I'm stepping into the second half, turning 50 now, so I'm slowing down. But when it comes to relationships, number one, you have to know who you are and if you even desire marriage. It's not for everybody. Not every woman is a wife, not every man is a husband. Okay. But if you're looking for a relationship, if you're looking for something more traditional, which I would say as we age, all of us want some type of stability in our mate selection. I just don't think you're supposed to be out here doing whatever for however long. But what I tell women is number one, you need to know the type of wife that you want to be, and you need to exclusively date the type of men that complement that. And then choose from the best within that. We see so many people just casting such a wide net and thinking they can make anybody and everybody that stable husband figure. It's not going to work. So, to give some tangible things, I always tell my students number one, does he have a plan? Does he have a plan for his own life, exclusive of you? Not only is he saying the things, but is he acting in a way every day that if he says, these are my goals, you see him every day taking steps towards those goals? Does he talk about a future, or is life just about, oh, let's have fun right now? Let's not worry about the future. Let's turn up. Or do you see him making sacrifices in his own life? Maybe he's driving something more modest so that he can afford a house. Maybe he's, going back to school for a trade. Maybe he is taking on an extra shift. Is he doing anything that shows that his mind is not about right now? It's about something in the future. And then thirdly, I would say what I tell the women, does he talk about having a woman, having a wife in his life? When he talks about the future, is it just him and his buddies? Does he talk about a future family? Does he talk about, I want to marry one day, I'm not there now? Those are the things that I implore, especially young women, to be listening for when you're dating. That's part of the vetting process. I say dating is to determine if this is a suitable match for marriage or long term. It's not just to get dressed up. It's not just to have a meal or take pictures. You really need to be listening for those things. And, that those are just some basics, pardon me, from me. For men, and again, I tread lightly here because I'm not a man and I don't have a man's experience. But for example, what we told the boys, like our oldest is a Marine, he turned 18 and that's what he wanted to do. And he's on an amazing path. But we tell them the burden is going to be on you. So make sure you have some type of benefits package to offer the woman that you want. Make sure you have demonstrated that. Unfortunately, my guy, Mr. President, will say, the days are gone where unfortunately, women will hitch their wagon to a dream. So we do expect men to be ready to deliver, but we also tell him, and especially me, I tell him, you must have a woman who respects you. She has to respect you. If she's trying to derail your path, she's not the woman for you. And then you build your life together. So I don't want to go on and on, but those are just some of the things that I tell my students and we tell our sons.
Yeah. Those are good concepts. Those are good step by steps. I think that pre-qualifying, we when we go to get a house or a degree in education. All of these things, there's pre-qualifications, things that, you have to go by and check, things you got to dot off and check. And I think that we've gotten a little lazy with how we're dating in that process, and we're not vetting properly. And then we're getting upset and angry by the results of the people that come into our lives. So I can't find a good man or a good woman. It's like, are you going to places where those type, library, church, volunteer events, or are you in the club where they turn up, or are you doing where are you positioning yourself to prepare for that person? And I think vetting is proper. A young man asked me this today. I was in the gym. He says, how do you know if someone's serious about you? I called a girl. This is so good. He's 22. He says, I called a girl and no, I text her and she says, hey, I'm busy. I'll text you back. And he says, 2 days later, I get a text back and she says, hey, sorry, I'm really bad about texting. He says, how should I take that? I said, take that as a sign she's not interested. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, we all show interest in things that are important to us. And when a woman shows you what her values are, and it's not you, don't ignore that as she's so busy. Maybe it's this, it's that. It's no, it's very simple. She's just not that interested. And that's okay. Be interested in people that are interested in you.
I completely agree. I mean, it's just a waste of time to try and shape shift somebody into who you want them to be. And for women, it's wasting time that we don't have. And we do see this in the modern world with a lot of women, especially with online dating and looking at other people's lives and thinking, okay, I'm going to hold out because one day my prince will come. It doesn't work that way. And we all know how we react when we have access to something that we really like. It doesn't take a lot of poking and prodding. And so I just encourage women, if you got a man who's serious about you and you're serious about him, run like you stole something. There's no time to waste. Don't play any games.
Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think we can do, either individually or as a society, to help encourage women to want to be mothers and to want to be married? Obviously, I think you said something very clear. Every man is not created to be a husband, and every woman wasn't created to be a wife or mother, so on and so forth. So, but for those women that are seeking marriage, that are seeking kids, what are some things that we can do as a society, and maybe that they can do to create a space where they feel seen and heard and honored? Because before, now this is not so much now, but being a stay-at-home mom was like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom, or you're just, and it's like, no, 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 no. Like, that is a job. Like, raising kids, raising our future generations. What do you mean just? Like, that's everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually love this question. So, to answer it, you asked, what can we do to encourage women? And I was going to say, kind of either you are or you aren't, but you did clarify it with those who want it. So, I would say this: not every woman is a wife, not every woman is a mother. I think it's natural for us to want to be. But if a woman is telling you, gentlemen, that she just wants to be some type of pampered princess, this is not going to be um, the woman that's going to be the nurturing heart of the home. But for those women, especially the young ones who want marriage and family, I move heaven and earth for them. Those are the ones that are so precious to me because the other side has been so loud and so putting down. And I'm a former corporate executive. I work in tech today, and I have been in those rooms where I've heard, boss women make jokes when the executive's wife comes pushing the stroller and she's baked cookies for the office, or just something like that. I have heard the snide remarks. I have seen how women who choose to prioritize family, it's almost like that's all that you do. So as an older woman, I just turned 50 last year. As an older woman, I'll just say this, keep on living, as we say in the South. I remember 25-year-old Maggie. I was headstrong. You couldn't tell me anything. And that got me in trouble in my marriage, thinking that, okay, you get a promotion, I'm going to get a promotion. But now, 25 years later at 50, having gone through like 5+ layoffs, I always land on my feet. But every time I realize more and more how these companies and these degrees and all of that, I have all of that on paper. It doesn't really fulfill me the way that marriage and family has. Luckily for me, I come from an immigrant family. And so my parents worked and gave me the example of a very strong nuclear family. That is the beginning. That is the foundation of everything. Unfortunately, in our community, so many young women aren't seeing that. And so they're either getting swept up in, whatever city girl, boss babe, whatever they're told is how you get a man. And a lot of them are ending up alone when they get older. But you do have a remnant, if you will, of young women that something in them is just like, I've always wanted to be a wife. I've always wanted to be part of an intact family. I've always wanted to have a family of my own. So for those women who are brave enough to swim against the stream, I think as a community, we owe it to them to also move heaven and earth and champion that. That's why when I started my courses and my coaching, people may notice, people may not. I kind of had a whosoever will approach. I would talk to anybody because I do have a heart like, oh, well, everybody deserves love. And I remember my man and some of the sponsors on my channel were like, Maggie, young and married only, young and married only. And I was like, oh, you guys are so harsh. But what I realized is that we all do, as they say, you do what you want to do. And the women who have actually acted on that maternal impulse, that biological imperative, it's not just lip service. It's not just you spent 25 years doing whatever, and now all of a sudden you're serious about relationships. That ship has sailed. So long-winded version of we champion them. We give them the examples. If they don't have that in their family, we make time for them. We hold space for them, as they say now. But I think really honoring and acknowledging the women that want to be wives and have families, because that's the only thing that's going to save us. Everybody being about self, we're doomed.
That's so true. That's so true, Maggie. Thank you so much for sharing that too. I think that is exactly where we are. We're at a point where either we transition back to the foundational principles that every society was built up on, which is family, God, and marriage. And I say this so much on my lives. Like these are the pillars: God, family, marriage. Like without it, like it's it says in the Bible, sometimes people read that book and sometimes they don't. But if you if you ever read it, um it says that a house divided against itself cannot stand. And I think a lot of people are going against their best interest, which is, I'll just go at it alone. I don't need a man and I don't need a marriage. And it's just like we are, as humans, we were created to be together. And we can't do it alone. It takes a village to raise a child. And these aren't just cute sayings that you put on t-shirts and hats. Like these are realities. This is why the family unit and structure and unit is so important. And this is why the assault against women wanting to be in the home and work and not work is such a big deal. I didn't realize when I was doing a little research that you could only tax the man in the household. You couldn't tax the woman. You had to tax one or the other. And so it was a point where what could we do to encourage women to get back in the workforce? Here we are. I feel like women are overworked, underpaid, and undervalued. I think women would be more valued in the home, more taken care of, more respected by their future husband, fiance, so on and so forth, than some corporate giant just trying to squeeze the most out of them. And women are ending up with breast cancer, ovarian this and that. And women are just stressed out by the way that they're telling them to live versus the latter, like the way women used to do it. I don't know. What are your thoughts? And we can finish here. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I've got time. Um, See, this is where the feminists start running for the hills. And, I have to say, I am grateful that we live in modern times where women have choice. I am not saying, and I have never said, that you must stay at home and be, wife and mother. A lot of married couples work. I mean, both of them work, most of them do. And I think you just do it in a way that prioritizes the family. The example that I had growing up, we had family and both of my parents worked. I think the problem that we're seeing now is so many women are forsaking family altogether, thinking that that job or that business or that, idea is really going to fill that void. I think we all have a little hole in our heart, not only for God, for the Lord, but also for your your home base. I think it's just natural. Um, but yeah, I think that to answer your question about, the times that we live in, I think that going against nature has never served us. There is nothing new under the sun. And I don't think me, wagging my finger or howling at the moon at anybody, if you really believe that there is an order to things, my man always says the universe always balances itself. So if I have somebody that I'm trying to help and they're just, no, I know better, or there's got to be a shortcut, or I'm going to do it my own way. Or I've actually had somebody I used to coach tell me, well, that doesn't work for this generation. And all I say is, okay, like, I'm not arguing with you. And fast forward, she's still single and struggling. And I'm not saying that, it doesn't give me any pleasure to say that, but we used to listen to older people because of the wisdom that they had came from somewhere. Now, if everybody's just going to do it on their own, that's fine. But what we will see is that we're going to end up in the same place anyway, but a lot more broke, busted, and disgusted. And as I'm older, I think about that statistic that I heard. I think it's in Korea. They are selling more adult diapers than babies' diapers. And it is, at first it used to be kind of this conspiracy theory thing, like, oh yeah, we're below the birth rate, everybody's just like, yeah, on to the next thing. But when you do think of the Bible or any other stories and you're like, whatever happened to those people? Whatever happened to that group of people? Societies can die out. We can be talking about the Black community that used to be, a few generations from now. And I don't want that. So again, the ones that are trying to have family, and it's not just about passing on your DNA. It's about passing on your values, your way of life, your legacy, your stories. The way that you live forever is through your lineage. So if you just want to exit the gene pool and, be the last of your name, as they say, and it dies with you, you absolutely have the right to do that. But I don't think that's what most of us want.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. My mother says, you always talk about legacy and dynasty and all these things. I was like, yeah, because it's important to me, mother. She's like, your sister never talks about this. So I'm like, well, and it's funny. I talk about this with a lot of people. One of the biggest gifts as a human being, I feel like you could give is the gift of life. Like God gave us something that we can't, there's nothing that we could give God to say thank you for the life that we have been given other than to create another life so that life can experience what God gave you. And so by having a child, by a man saying, yes, I want to take care of something and be responsible, for a woman saying, yes, I want to protect and usher something in and be responsible for its thinking and its understanding of the world, to give that back to somebody else. Like that's the biggest gift. That's the biggest thank you could give to God. Thank you for creating me. I don't want it to stop with me. I want God, there's nothing I could do to say thank you other than create another life that will praise you and be thankful as well. So I think the least we could do for being here is to recreate the least you could do, amen. Like, but if you like you said, everyone's not, wife or husband material, but if you are, go.
I would just stay with that. I don't disagree. However, I'm hearing that not all, not all, not all. And I do know not all women are able, and not all men are able to reproduce. I would say this: if we have the gift of life, I think our responsibility is to make the most of that life. Now, having children for me, for you, is a big part of that. But it's not just having children, it's about, if we're going to talk about scripture, rearing them in the fear and admonition of the Lord, but it's really about creating a home and a blueprint for our children to go and be great in the world. We have plenty of examples of people who are just having children just because, illegitimate children, having children with multiple people out here, just letting them kind of raise themselves. That's not helping us at all. That's actually hurting. And I would say there are women that may be childless that are more mother than some of the women that actually procreate. So I think, yes, children are wonderful, but I will say children are very expensive. Children are a lot of work. Children are sacrifice. Now, some of us go into that willingly. I do understand a little bit why someone might decide, okay, that's not for me. My only ask, or my only requirement, if you will, if I could be so bold, is to humbly respect the people who are having families and doing their absolute best, because it is the hardest job with no guarantee that it's going to turn out. But what bothers me is not only people saying, you know what, that's not for me, I wish you the best, congratulations on your family, people being almost vilified for choosing to have a family, people being made fun of. If you're on a budget, or you only have one family car, or your kids are wearing hand-me-downs, or whatever we all have to do when you're making it work. Hearing women, but funnily enough, you don't hear this from men. Even men who have chosen not to have kids, sometimes they may say, okay, a little rugrats over there, but I don't hear men talk about children as a burden the way I hear some women. And that bothers me, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. I think every woman who chooses to be childless, and that is your absolute choice, they need to thank those of us who are choosing to have families and raise them right. Why do I say that? And I know it's bold, but one of the things my man, Mr. President, always used to say, it was like this scorched earth approach, just some people just got to die, just burn it all down and start over. And I'm like, oh, come on, babe, that's harsh. But he would always say this. He was like, I'm not saying I agree, but I understand how we got the Handmaid's Tale. And I just kind of used to laugh him off like, ha, ha, ha. But he's like, I see how we got the Handmaid's Tale. Meaning, if we let things just get out of control and let people say whatever and do whatever and disrespect the family, that's not going to last forever. Something will happen to reset all of us. And I don't think it's the option that you want when you're being told this is how it's going to be. So if you appreciate your freedom, go be free. But the next time you see a family, a mom struggling with 2 or 3 little kids and you have none, check that rich auntie, I'm unburdened and unbothered. Check that, because you are lucky that someone else is taking on that responsibility. I said it.
Wow. Maggie's cooking with avocado oil. Maggie, you have been absolutely amazing. I just want to say thank you so much for bringing so much light and joy into this world, into this space, and helping women just see things through a different pattern, and giving us men a few of your 2 cents as well. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Keep doing amazing work, and women need you, men need you. And we're just happy that you're able to share your voice and your inspiration and wisdom with us. So Thank you.
You for saying that. I can continue on if you had other questions. I don't have to stop at 30 minutes. If you wanted to go an hour, we can go an hour. Or if you're done with the questions, we can wrap up. But I feel very strongly about this, and I say that in love, but I do feel a responsibility not only to myself and my family is the priority, but I am kind of mama bear when it comes to marriage and family because being on this side of life, I understand what really matters. I mean, just this week, didn't we have 30,000 people wake up to an email that their employment was ended that day? And working in tech, I've had that phone call where thank you for your service, but your last day is Friday. And I'm talking about really good six-figure paying jobs. And so again, we sign up for it. This is the world that we live in. But my fear is that a lot of women are going to learn the hard way when life really, hits them between the eyes. And now they realize I spent all this time and I have nothing to show for it.
Wow, I think you're right. So many people, and since we talk about women, men too, but so many people put their ladders up against the wrong wall. And when that wall starts to shake and that ladder comes down, you realize I've been climbing the wrong wall. I've been going the wrong direction the whole time. People been yelling at me, hey, you might want to come down. It's that way. It's not. No, no, no. I'm gonna go up to my career, my degree, my condo. I got it. I know what I'm doing. And then everyone switched to AI, and then your company decides to go lean. They decide to go a different direction. They decide to balance all words for you're fired. And here it is, you put all of your eggs in that basket thinking that this will be there forever. Companies change, things change, your family will be there. But if you don't put your ladder up against the wall, the right wall, you'll end up climbing up to the top and realizing there's a glass ceiling there. Wait, I can only go so far. And this is it, even with though I'm up here, it doesn't even feel that great. I remember being in my condo when I got divorced in Breckenridge, Colorado. Beautiful place overlooking the mountains, excited. But the only thing I was going through a divorce, so it really wasn't exciting. And I said to myself, wow, this is a really nice place. It would be really, nice if someone was here with me. And at that moment, I realized what marriage meant to me. It wasn't about the beautiful condo in Breckenridge. It wasn't about, the view. It was about the moments that I got to share with the person that mattered to me the most. That's what I was missing. That's what I was like, I want that every day. I, as the kids say, may that love find me. The kids say, may this love find me. Whatever, something like that. But yeah, yeah.
No, you're not wrong. And I mean, circling back to what I said in the beginning, it's only normal and natural. We were made to go through this life with our husband, our wife, our mate, whatever you want to call it. We were made to couple up and do this thing called life together. And that's what I want to encourage. That's what I tell the young women that I talk to. If there's something in you that's like, I want to be married. I want to be part of a family. I want to be covered. I want to be spoken for. That's only going to get stronger and more pronounced with time. So don't let, bitter relatives in your family or boss women at your job or, anybody tell you that what is normal for you, there's something wrong with it because you will turn away from that and then try to force yourself into a life that is only going to make you miserable. You talked about some of the health effects that stress has caused us. And it's because I think women are they're starting to see the effects of just carrying too much for too long. And, I always speak from my own experience. I was that corporate, pulling up, clicking through the halls, bowling the kids to school, long commute, long days, ripping and running. And the pandemic is something that really sat me down. And that's when I realized how much more calm and composed I could be when I wasn't so frazzled. And my man was like, I like you better this way. And I opened my eyes and I was like, oh my gosh, I did not realize what I had become. And, my sadness is life has its ups and downs for all of us. And, so many times when people think about relationships or marriage, they think only about the good things, somebody to travel with, somebody to celebrate with, someone to do all that with. But you know what? When you do get that email at 6 a.m. that your job has ended, you have somebody to put your both heads together and say, okay, where do we need to cut back? What do we need to do? Like, you have somebody to go through life with. My parents are older now and kind of going through that phase of life where, okay, what do we want to do for the, the fourth quarter, and being able to bounce ideas off of my man, or, when our oldest, says he wants to do the military, being able to talk to his father, even though I'm divorced, my ex-husband and I co-parent really well, and showing up as a united front. You were not, ladies, we were not made to carry this burden all the way to the finish line alone. And sadly for me, when women only prioritize that one thing, I've heard it all. I want to see the world. I don't want to be rushed. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to have my fun. I want to focus on my career. I want to go get that second, third, and fourth degree. None of that is wrong in and of itself. I'm just saying, if you want marriage and family, prioritize it while you can, because so many women go do whatever they want to do, and then they say, okay, now I'm ready, and nobody's calling. We don't have forever and ever amen to get the outcome that we want. So it can be done at the same time, like my parents did, like I did. Yes, I went the school path, but I also married at 25 to my college boyfriend that I knew at 18. And so if you're not able to do both at the same time, then you need to make the main thing, because you can always come back to that schooling or that career. Those pyramids and seven wonders of the world will always be there. But that man that you expect to wait on you while you get good and ready, he's going to find somebody who's ready for him.
Wow. I think you're so right, because so many people feel the same way. I hear people say that, oh, I wanna hang out with my friends, and I'm just thinking to myself, but you have your whole life to hang out with your friends. Like, you don't have your whole life to have a baby and have a family. Like, you care about hanging out with your friends? Like, really? Like that? It, it's fascinating. Yeah, I think that this is the year of pre prioritizing family, health, God, marriage, relationship, and being very intentional about our relational conversations and connections with people, making sure that we're aligned with the right people, asking the right questions. I told this young man earlier, because we were talking about some relationship stuff. I said, one of the things I ask women that I meet is, hey, do you feel like, because it'd be rude if you ask a woman, hey, do you think you're wife material? Or, it's kind of direct, but it is direct, but the workaround is, hey, do you feel like your mother raised you to be a wife and a mother? And so you push it off to the mother. It's her fault if you're named. But but you want to ask qualifying questions. You want to make sure that you're not attaching yourself to something that doesn't have longevity, that's just for the moment. Like, if that's what you're looking for, okay, be aware of it. But if you want something serious, if you want something long lasting, make sure you're asking the right questions. Hey, were you centered or created to do those sorts of things, or no?
Yes, but I would just say this, and it sounds like you're talking to men, which I don't often, but I don't disagree with you. However, I would just say you can ask or she can demonstrate. And I think that's what's important. Just like I tell the women, a man can tell you all day long about, I'm going to conquer the world. But this is why, as women, we need to study our men, because we have to look and see, okay, so he's telling me, I'll give you an example. My man, Mr. President, somebody that I grew up with, reconnected post divorce. Our first date, which was at Chick-fil-A, which was totally fine with me. I was happy. I was just, happy to be there. And the way he talked to me, he said, I'm on an executive coaching track. I want to be one of the Black VPs in Atlanta. I want to do investments. I want to do that. Like, he had a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20-year goal. And I remember sitting there like, I'm just happy to be here. And I would see him meet with his mentor. I would see him stay late. I would see him take on other projects. I was watching him actually doing the things. Now he is a VP for a very large company. But, the point is, people can say anything, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I can tell you, I was raised to be a wife, or I can show up as a woman that's nurturing. I can show up as a woman that's considerate. I can show up as a woman that recognizes your patterns and anticipates your needs. I can show up as a woman that is agreeable and knows how to, work with you, that follows under leadership, that doesn't have to say doesn't have to do the tit for tat or have the last word, right? So you can ask me or you can watch me. And I mean that respectfully, but ladies, lip service is not going to cut it. Who you are is going to come through regardless. I remember a collab I did a few years ago. I went to London to do a collab with a very large content creator, and she had this apartment and she had like multiple bedrooms, and each bedroom they were filming different things. So it was all this crew and all this equipment. They're carrying lights and gear and all of that. And I'm just, I'm not lifting anything. I can't help. But what I can do, I took my own money. I took my own Uber to the grocery store and I bought food, because I remember, like, I can see men working hard, doing things that I can't do. So I bought ingredients and I made just a whole bunch of food. And I remember asking, is anybody hungry? And, modestly, everybody's like, oh no, we're fine. We're fine. But my mom didn't raise me to sit around and let other people work and you just sitting there looking cute. So I spent my own time and my own money because I wanted to serve. I saw other people working hard and I didn't feel comfortable just sitting pretty in that. So I came with a whole bunch of groceries and I went to the kitchen, put my apron on, and I made sandwiches. I made mac and cheese. I had, different kinds of bacon. I made a steak. I was just cooking. And before I knew it, like, everybody, the men, the women, everybody was like, oh, Maggie, please come back. But my point is that that's just what I did, because that's just who I am. So you don't need to know that my mom was a retired home economics teacher, or I was raised to cater and to love and to nurture. But that's just who I am consistently. So that's, I think, more important than answering a question, is being the answer.
Wow. Wow. I don't even like, yeah, that was big. So short take, pay attention to the signs, forget what they're saying, watch what they're doing, watch where they're showing up on a daily basis, because regardless of what we say, lip service doesn't pay the physical attention. So thank you, Maggie, for everything. This has been so impactful. Guys, I hope you've got notes down, go back, rewind this, save it, share it. This has been amazing, Maggie. It's been amazing. Thank you so much, Maggie.
You are most welcome. All right. If you want, I'll take a look at the comments before we wrap up.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, let me put my spectacles on. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to go up to the top. We got Jessica in the house. Thank you so much for being here. I know you are sharing this to your channel. So before we end, Gerald, you can let everybody know where to find you and what you're about. Hello, good evening. We got Killis in the house, one of my day ones. She's saying that this is so true. Gillis is saying in schools, they used to have police officers come in and reenact DUI accidents in a gruesome way so that the students paid attention to make an impression of how bad drinking and driving is. We need to do the same for relationship education. Now that's interesting. A relationship role play, if you will. We need to show young folks someone in their 80s alone with no one to pass on their legacy because of failing to prioritize family. And that's so true. And that's a hard thing to imagine. However, it's true, because God willing, we're all going to age, right? Kevin Samuels, the late great Kevin Samuels, used to always ask women, what do you want life to look like when you're 40, 50, and 60? And sometimes they would just draw a blank. I'm 50 and I love this phase of life, approaching empty nest and really being able to enjoy the second half, with the love of my life. But unfortunately, for a lot of women, that's not the life that they've chosen. So really think about that. And are you doing now something that's going to get you the outcome that you want when you're my age? All right. Would you add anything to that?
No, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Maggie. You guys can find me Fearless Conversations on YouTube, Fearless Conversations on Spotify, and Fearless Conversations everywhere. My name is Gerald Fears, and I've been here with Maggie, the amazing Maggie. And I just thank you so much for your time, your inspiration, your motivation, and thank you for all of your words to help inspire, encourage, and push us to a different direction, back to more centered space. So thank you so much, Maggie, for all that you.
You're welcome. All right, let me see if I can get through the rest of these. I always like to check the chat. So thank you, Gillis. She says that it's so true. She says that Mr. Fears is spot on. We give people too many excuses. Yes, everybody coming in and saying hello. Bria is one of my students. She's a mom to, she's a military wife and a growing family. She says it's a 24-hour job. And Gillis says there are celebrities telling women that marriage is a prison. You all have seen the clip that went viral where someone said marriage is bondage. And I have a lot of thoughts about that, but I'll just say, in my opinion, that's probably the biggest case of sour grapes. And I'm dating myself with with the fable, but when you can't attain something, it's easier for you to poo-poo on it and say, well, I don't want it anyway. It must be bondage. I think that person probably wants marriage and to be spoken for more than anything. But unfortunately for her, the way she shows up does not say wife. All right. She says there are celebrities telling women marriage is a prison, and it gives those that are on the fence validation to discard the thought. And it's sad. It's more than sad. You're right, Gillis. Ladies, do not let people lead you into a burning building. One of the things that has helped me in my corporate career is looking at women and asking myself if I would trade places with them. And if the answer is no, then I take what they say with a grain of salt. All right. Be very careful. Yes, you will have people having you second guess. I have had so many single childless women try to tell me about my relationship, what to do with my kids. You can listen respectfully, but and that's why I always stop short of telling men what they should do, because that's not my experience. All right. Bria says going against nature has never served us. Yeah, absolutely. You can do whatever you want to do. It's a free country. Do whatever you want to do. But that biological imperative is very strong in all of us for a reason, right? We want to live to see another day. That's why we're here. Gilda says, amen, Maggie. It's so true. And Bria says, I've met mothers who spoke negatively about motherhood. I don't resonate with that. I love being a mother. I know. I love being a mother too. And look, it is not always easy. This is the end product. There were some days, but the days are long, ladies, and the years are short. This too shall pass. Are you back, Gerald? I'm just going to finish up these comments. Thank you for the hand claps, Bria. And Bria says, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Maggie. You're welcome, sweetheart. She says, sharing life experiences with your spouse is way more fulfilling. That's so true. I mean, can you all imagine like all the silly things that happen in life? I mean, so many times I'm texting Mr. President or he's sending me memes and we have these inside jokes, or, you kind of people watch together and you just have those moments. I wouldn't trade anything for that. I mean, okay, you can have your career. That's great. I got one too, but it's not the same. And yes, we don't want to carry burdens alone. So especially my young women. I mean, if you're older, is it over? No, you all have heard me talk about that. But is it a lot harder? Yes. All right. So that's why I emphasize the young women that have the most options. Thank you for the support. And Bria says, friends come and go. I'd rather have my man. Say that one again. Y'all have heard me. One of those clips went viral, and I say women aren't really great for your relationship. I like girlfriends, but nobody is priority over Mr. President. I mean, these two, but they're almost up and out. Okay, one of them's already out. Bria says, Maggie taught me to anticipate my husband's needs, and it's been so helpful in my marriage. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I love that. I love seeing you all love hard and have the results. And you're always taking notes. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I hope this was helpful. Gerald wanted to do this collab, and so I wanted to help support. There he is. Oh, it's time for you to go. And all right. So, Gerald, I wanted to just go through the comments, and I know we have people watching on Instagram and on TikTok as well. So I'm going to let you say your goodbyes, and then we'll wrap it up.
I just want to I just want to say thank you to everyone that's joining. If you're a mom, God bless you. Everything you're doing is amazing. I'm so happy for you. If you're thinking about being a mom, don't think too hard. Go do it. If you're thinking about being a wife, go do it. The world needs you. If you're thinking about being a husband, go, go, go. The world needs family, God, and marriage. Let's really make family great again. Let's make God great again. Let's refocus, recenter, and redesign our lives in a way that's more purposeful. And let's utilize Maggie. Let's utilize me, Gerald Fears, and Fearless Conversations. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe. Fearless Conversations. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple as well if you're into that thing as well. So thank you, Maggie, so much for holding space and sharing space. Maggie's amazing, and you guys are so lucky to have her as a mentor. So we're lucky to have access to her. So thank you, thank you.
You are most welcome. All right, everybody. We will see you all. No Cooking Stream Friday. I'll be posting the finishing content. So you all go check out Gerald Fears, and I will be back when I'm back. I'm posting every day. You know where to find me. I'm back in the Substitute Teacher, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and X. All right, everybody. Bye.